Alright, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'll be comparing the brand new Kuvings Auto10 juicer against the best-selling Nama J2 juicer. This is one of the most requested videos I've gotten since the unboxing of the Auto10 juicer I posted went up. So link down below to the original unboxing where I not only juice in the Auto10 but also show you guys how to make the frozen fruit sorbet that I love so much. Now the next thing is, my name is John Kohler from Discount Juicers, and I started my company DiscountJuicers.com 25 years ago now to get you guys the best price on juicers. I've been creating YouTube videos for the last 15 years comparing juicers and unboxing juicers and reviewing juicers so you guys can have the best information to make the most informed juicing choice so the fleece is not pulled over your eyes when you're buying a juicer, because there's a lot of marketing fluff by not only the companies, but in my opinion, many of the other influencers out there as well. I cut through the BS and show you guys the pros and cons, the ins and outs of each of the machines. So I hope that you guys will support me, because I hope I've helped you make the right juicer purchase decision. That being said, I'm also here to get you guys the best price, because that's what my company was founded, to save you guys money on juicers. And I'm going to do that right now for you guys before we even get into the video. Now, I want to share with you guys the discount you can get right now on either of these two machines to get the lowest price on either the Auto10 or the Nama J2 juicer. You guys could use a coupon code DJ10 at Kuvings USA. I'll put links down below the video so you guys can save 10% off on the Auto10 juicer. And if you guys want to buy the Nama J2, make sure you guys use coupon code ORIGINAL at Namawell.com. That'll save you guys 10% off on the Nama J2 juicer. Now guys, when you guys use those coupon codes, not only will you get the lowest price available at this time, but more importantly, you guys will be supporting me, because when you use those coupon codes, you'll save 10%, but Nama or Kuvings will share with me a small commission so I can continue to make these educational videos for you guys. These videos take me a long time to produce. You know, the last video I made took 6 hours in prepping produce, cutting produce, methodically weighing produce to make sure I have even amounts, laying out all the parts, filming, editing, cleaning. It is just a big process, but I want you guys to have the best information so that you guys can make the most informed decision when you guys are spending your hard-earned dollars, and more importantly, investing in a machine that will be around to change your life, to build your health, to give you greater health, to help you lose weight for the next 15 years, because both these machines have 15-year warranties. So I want to thank you guys in advance who will use my coupon code so I can continue my work, my mission to educate the world about the power of fruits and vegetables and how to get more of them into you through juicing. So now let's go ahead and dive deep into the comparison between these two machines so you guys are going to find out which one is right for you after this episode. So let's get started. So over on this side, we got the all-new Kuvings Auto10 juicer. I originally saw the Auto10 juicer in March at the trade show in Chicago. I don't know how long Kuvings had been developing it before I saw it, but when I saw it, it was actually a different design than the machine here. After the Chicago show, they sent me a prototype sample, which I tested and gave feedback to Kuvings on how to improve it and how to make it better. And to my surprise, when they shipped me the production unit, which is right here, the whole juicing apparatus and the auger were totally different. So I have not really tested this, and you know, in my opinion, I don't know how much they've tested it at Kuvings, although I do know that they did release this in Australia several months before the USA. So the thing I will say is that this is pretty much a new machine, right? I don't know how it's going to work long term, what parts are solid, what parts are not solid. In my opinion, you know, there may be some learning curve. So if you guys are an early adopter, that's definitely one of the reasons to go with the Kuvings Auto10, because it may be better than existing machines, although, you know, some challenges in the future may crop up. That being said, I'm proud to say that the Nama J2 has been out approximately 2 years now. So they've released it, and before they released it, they tested it for 3 years in development to make sure it was perfect and it was designed properly to make sure it's going to give you guys the best results. Also, based on the thousands of juicers they've sold, they've gotten feedback from customers when a hinge breaks or when this pulp clip breaks, and they've sent it back to their engineers. Their engineers have improved it, and then they make improved parts, and then they update the molds, and then all the new production has stronger and more durable parts. I do, a matter of fact, know, I think earlier this year they did a whole reset and changed out the molds and improved a bunch of parts to make them stronger and make it more efficient and work even better than when they originally released it 2 years ago. So that's what you're going to get when you're going to get a Nama. You're going to get a machine that already has been in the market for the last 2 years and time proven itself, so it will definitely be trouble-free. On the Kuvings, it's kind of a big question mark. Will it be trouble-free? Will it have some problems? I just don't know, and I can't tell you that for sure. So, all right, so that's the caveats. I want to give you guys that straight up in advance. The next thing I want to do is I want to share with you guys the price of each of these machines. I don't like to say prices because prices can vary, but what I will say is at the time of this filming of this video, the Auto10 without any coupon discounts is $150 more than the Nama J2. So you got to ask yourself, $150, man, that'll buy a lot of things. That'll buy a couple pairs of shoes. That'll buy groceries maybe for a week or so or more, depending on how you shop. It could buy you, a cell phone. It could buy you a lot of different things, $150. So is it worth it to spend $150 more to get the Auto10 than the Nama J2? And for that's why I'm making this video. As you guys can see, it does come with more accessories and gives you more flexibility to do more tasks than the J2 right out of the box. Plus, it also provides some extra cleaning brushes to make cleaning the machine easier when you're done juicing. So let's go over what you get when you buy the Kuvings Auto10. So with the Kuvings Auto10, you get the motor base. You get the whole juicing parts apparatus. You get a special IEC cord that is, you could unplug and take, so it's a detachable cord. Of course, the Nama J2 also has that. You also get the instruction manual, some warranty paperwork. You get a recipe booklet. You get actually the Sorbet attachment that is included with the Auto10. You also get the smoothie attachment, which is included with the Auto10 as well. And I call this a true smoothie attachment because it has a plug in the bottom, so the pulp does not come out of the machine when you use the Auto10 smoothie attachment. That being said, I believe smoothies are better made in a vacuum blender, personally. You also get 3 cleaning brushes. So you get a traditional toothbrush cleaning brush. You get this circular brush for kind of cleaning out the spout, which I really like. And you have the all-new innovative screen cleaning tool. I hope every company makes this because it just makes cleaning your screen easier. I told Kuvings their previous generation models had really big issues with, pulp clogging their screen when they're done, and their former screen cleaning tool would only clean one side of the screen. So Kuvings went with their engineers and designed this screen cleaning tool that not only cleans the inside, but the outside as well. I'll show you guys how easy it works. You just take the screen, you drop it in there, you slide this up, you slide this locking cap on, and now you can literally just spin this around. As you guys can see, there's like these plastic-like razor blades that scrape the outside of the screen to dislodge any pulp. At the same time, on the inside of the screen, there's brushes that are brushing the inside of the screen so you guys could easily clean the screen. Traditionally, on like the Nama, you'd have to just take the little cleaning brush and just scrub it. And you'd have to spin it around and scrub it, which is what I do. But with this tool, it makes it a lot easier. So, that's one of the things you guys get when you pay the extra $100. The easy clean tools to make cleaning easier. In addition, you also get the pusher, and you get 2 cups. One for the juice, one for the pulp, or you could use this for the juice and this for the pulp. I personally believe that these are a little bit undersized for their machine that has a 3-liter hopper, which is the world's largest hopper of any hopper style juicer. This allows you to make up to 1.5 quarts at one time because it is a full 3-liter hopper. Over on the Nama J2, it only has a 2-liter hopper, and you can make approximately up to a quart at a time, depending on what you're juicing. Watery fruits, such as watermelon, will tend to make up to a quart at a time, and a quart and a half, respectively. They are high water content. Other things like carrots may make only 24 ounces in the J2, but probably up to a quart with the Auto10. So over on the Nama J2 side, what do you get when you buy the Nama J2? Well, of course, you get the main motor body, you get the juicer parts, you also get the same detachable IEC cord, you also get the what Nama calls the smoothie screen, which I would not call this a smoothie screen personally. This is a smoothie screen because it has a cap on the bottom that keeps the pulp inside the machine. So when you're using this screen, nothing will come out the pulp port. Everything has to come out the juice port. Whereas on the Nama screen, there's a hole in the bottom. So to me, this is a coarse hole screen, which simply does is puts more pulp in your juice. I hope they do rename this one day because I think that's a big misnomer. In addition, you get the instruction book. The instruction book for Nama is in English, French, and Spanish, although the instruction book for the Kuvings is actually only in English and French. And then the recipe book for the Nama J2 is about 70 pages, whereas the recipe book for the Kuvings is about 40 pages. So you do get some more information and recipes with Nama. In addition, something that the Kuvings does not have is a quick start guide. This quick start guide is quite big, and if you aren't into reading instructions, if you just read this quick start guide, as soon as you get your juicer, that'll get you up and running so that you guys can be juicing as soon as possible. And one of the cool things about this quick start guide that definitely doesn't come with the Nama is that there's a warm welcome right here. And in this warm welcome, there's actually contact information for the owner of Nama, which is impressive. There's nowhere in there that you could get the name of the owner of Kuvings USA. I mean, I have his email. I correspond with him all the time, but they don't give you that to you. So to me, that's a little bit impressive that the owner of Nama has such faith in his machines that he provides his email. So if you don't get customer service from their customer service team, you're unhappy, you could contact him to let him know and hopefully he'll take care of you. But of course, if the machine is changing your life like it has changed so many lives, send him a good positive note and say, hey, Dan, you know, this machine changed my life, and he loves to get those. I just talked to him about that the other day. All right. So then also you get a standard cleaning brush on here as well, kind of similar to the Kuvings brush. It has a, you know, the screwdriver end on one side, flat head, and then you could flip it over for a little brush head. You know, I hope that Nama in the future would kind of innovate and make some kind of screen cleaning tool to make, you know, cleaning the juicer a little bit easier, which is probably one of the biggest pain points about juicing. Of course, on the Nama J2, you also get a pusher, and you also get the 2 collection cups, which I believe are more appropriately sized for the hopper on the machine. Because if you fill the hopper up, this will not overflow. Whereas if you fill the hopper on this, you know, you're likely to overflow the smaller catch cup, which traditionally has been designed for juice. That being said, if you do use the larger catch cup, you know, it may overflow a little bit or may just be just right, but the issue is then you're using this one to catch the pulp, in which case then it will overflow. So I don't know if Kuvings thought about like how much juice you could make versus the size of the catch cups, or these are catch cups from previous juicers that they're just kind of reusing. So I couldn't tell you. So that is what comes with each of the machines. That being said, you guys do have an optional attachment you guys can buy for the Nama J2 if you do want to make the sorbet. That's a $50 upgrade. So if you get this with the juicer, then in that case, the Auto10 is only actually a $100 difference, or it costs more for you guys. As you guys can see, this sorbet screen is actually stainless steel, whereas the Kuvings is plastic. That being said, the way this sorbet screen is designed, they've designed it so that all the sorbet comes out where the pulp normally comes out, whereas I do like on the Kuvings that they send out the sorbet where the juice normally comes out. So you're either coming out of a square hole to have a square sorbet, or you're coming out of more of a round hole to have like a round sorbet that looks more like a traditional, you know, soft serve ice cream. So I definitely prefer the shape of the Kuvings better in that point. In addition, Nama also has available a strainer that'll fit on top of the plastic juice collection cup. That being said, I always use glass measuring cups as well as stainless steel sieves to strain out all my juices when juicing. So if you guys want to end up getting that sorbet strainer with the Nama J2, then you're only at $100 price difference. So the Auto 10 would be $100 more than the J2. Of course, if you don't want the sorbet attachment, then it's $150 upgrade charge to get the Auto 10. As you guys can see, we're all set up and ready to juice, and now I want to go over all the common parts you'll be using when juicing and compare them against each other. I think first we will start with how these machines are set up on your countertop. I mean, honestly, I like the squared off design of the Kuvings Auto 10 where the juice comes out the front and the pulp comes out the side. This kind of saves counter space because you don't have to have it super long. It can be a little more tight and compact. Meanwhile, the Nama J2 decided to have it like the long way where the juice comes out one side and then the pulp comes out the exact opposite side instead of being squared off. This also allows you to have the on and off switch forward and reverse on the front of the machine, whereas on the Kuvings Auto 10, it is on the side. These are small differences, but it may make a difference when you're a small kitchen, you don't have a lot of counter space. That's where, this might be a better fit for you than something that has to go a lot longer. That being said, I've also turned this, the front direction, to use it like this, so I have front and back to take less, width on my counter, but then, of course, more depth. So next, let's go over the collection cups. So let's first go over the pulp collection cups. So you guys can see these pulp collection cups, would look fairly the same size. But if you look, this one's a little bit more, squared off and tall, and this one's a little bit shorter and a different, shape. So I just calculated or put water in both of these containers to see how big they are. So here's the thing, the Kuvings Auto 10 catch cup is approximately 1,500 milliliters. On the Nama J2, this catch cup holds 1,750 milliliters. So it's 250 milliliters more than the Auto 10. That being said, the Auto 10 hopper is 50% larger, 3 liters instead of 2 liters on the J2, which means the catch cup should be at least that much larger as well to have, an apples to apples comparison. Because if you're generating pulp in here and you could generate, more pulp because you're filling it more, this may fill up more quickly. In addition, I like the shape of this because as you put it here, the pulp is coming out and the pulp will definitely better layer in this design, in this shape, than this container that is more, square and tall. All right, so that's what I'll say about that. And then also, on the juice catch containers, these appear to be about the same size. They're both measured up to 1,000 milliliters and then have a little space above that. That being said, one of the things the issue I had with the Auto 10 when I first used it is when I filled up the hopper, I made a full 1.5 liters of juice and that would overflow this catch cup. So I personally believe that Kuvings reused catch cups from their previous generation and didn't necessarily think about how much juice can this machine make if it's fully filled up. That being said, they've recommended to me that you could use this catch cup, which you would likely not overflow when filling the hopper, and you could use this catch cup to catch the pulp. That being said, instead of the juice overflowing at this point, that means that the pulp will overflow, which is not as big of a deal as juice overflowing. All right, this is where we have some fun and I get to take apart each of the machines and compare them part by part and share with you guys my opinions on which part I like more and which I believe is a better design. So first, let's go ahead and take each of these top sets off of the juicers. And you guys can see there they are right there. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna go ahead and take apart the Nama J2. So on the Nama J2, you simply just turn it and it pulls off. It's very simple and easy. Meanwhile, on the Kuvings, you can't just turn it. You need to push this little button down. You see how that moves? Generally, if you have your hand in here, you could just basically smush your hand down, and then you could turn and remove the whole hopper. So you guys can see literally the gigantuous size of the hopper here. It's not only taller, a little bit taller, but it's also more wide. So you guys can see this is how it looks from the side shot. It's a lot larger hopper. Once again, 3 liters instead of 2 liters on the Nama J2. There are some pros and cons about this hopper. The pro is I love the size. I love that I could stuff this full of 3 liters of produce. So that means I don't have to load up the hopper quite as much when I am bulk juicing. That being said, let's go ahead and open up the lid. So on the Nama J2, you take your hand and you just, it's like a little trigger. You just press this button and it pops up nice and easy. Meanwhile, over on the Kuvings, there's no trigger. What you have to do on this is you're gonna go ahead and take your thumb, put it on here, and you're just gonna have to pop this up. This is a much better design than, say, the Huron design, but not quite as easy as the Nama J2 design. And then you could pop this up as well, and it opens up. I will say that because the Nama has been out for 2 years now, they've basically tightened this hinge piece so it's pretty tight on there, not as likely to fall off if you knock it. The first generation that I got did have that issue, but they went back and tightened this up, so that's not happening. You could easily remove the lid for cleaning. Meanwhile, the Kuvings, I can't say the same thing. This is, once again, their first generation machine. You knock this a little bit, and it basically just falls off. So for some people that may not bother you, I tend to be a little bit clumsy when juicing because I'm just trying to juice, get everything done, and then I'm like putting in produce and I knock it, and it falls off, and hits the ground and all this stuff. So I hope Kuvings does improve this. That being said, their funnel is clear and the Nama J2 funnel is solid black. I'm not sure which one I really like more. I'm not a really big fan of the smoke color. I would like it more if it was just totally clear. I think that looked really cool. But maybe some people wouldn't like to see, the machine working. I like to see the guts of things. So yeah. And then the other thing is both these lids actually have kind of like they're a funnel. So you put something on the edge and it'll roll in on both these lids. So actually they did it quite right. And let's compare the size of the holes. So the size of the holes on both these lids are approximately the same exact size. This is used for if you want to feed in produce as you're juicing. Normally I like to fill the hopper, let it run, and then I'm prepping other produce, and when that hopper's empty, I'll open it up and then fill everything else in the hopper. Unless I just have a few random pieces, I'll just put a few things in at a time. All right. Next up is we're going to go ahead and compare the hoppers. You guys can see here's the hoppers from the top, and this is the hoppers from behind. They are very similar in design. They both kind of have some ribbing inside there. I do kind of personally like the color of the Nama J2. It's more like a grayish smoke color, whereas this is more of a, I don't know, brownish smoke color. This to me is not as attractive personally. Or maybe this is more of a bluish, blue-gray smoke color. Maybe it depends on your eyes. I do like the handle on the J2. It seems a bit more stout and sturdy, whereas the handle on the Kuvings is actually a little bit thinner. Let's see here. Both these machines are quite stout. I will say that the Nama has like a little lip on the inside, so that makes it a little more structurally intact and strong than the Kuvings Auto10. Now the other thing I will say is that, at the bottom of the hopper, there is a processing blade. You guys can see it spin around as I manually spin it around. I do know that Nama had like 300 different revisions of this hopper blade. They tried it so many different ways to find the hopper blade that optimally cut the produce up into smaller pieces and optimally sucked it into the machine and fed it at a slow and appropriate rate for the machine so it would work the best. That being said, I'm not familiar with how Kuvings designed their blade. I do believe that Nama has a patent on their special blade design because the Kuvings blade design or processing blade is a lot different. This is a lot tighter to move around too, so it will put more stress on the motor because this is run by the motor. But I'm not really super confident in this design personally to basically get everything into the machine as efficiently as the Nama J2. Once again, this machine is just released. I hope in the future they do make improvements. My initial testing shows that this machine will leave more food and particulate in the hopper than the Nama J2, and especially maybe because the hopper is bigger, that makes it more particular to get the produce in without as much residue left in the hopper. I kind of like the plastic, the black plastic on the Nama J2. It's more of a dull plastic or matte plastic, whereas the plastic on the Kuvings Auto10 is a bit more shiny. So I kind of like the duller look myself. Now on the bottom, both these machines you'll need to clean when you're done juicing. They both have no significant nooks and crannies for things to, get trapped into. That being said, I would say that the J2 is a little bit easier to clean. I'm just kind of looking at, because I clean this every time after I'm done, and I'm seeing there's a little bit of pulp and whatnot on the bottom of the Kuvings Auto10. Both these machines have gaskets on the bottom of the hopper, so this means you can do the auto cleaning function. I'll put links down below to the original unboxing of the Auto10 where I show the auto cleaning, as well as a auto cleaning I've done on the Nama J2 as well. I would say that I like the quality of the gasket on the Nama J2. It seems a bit more thick and stout than the gasket on the Kuvings Auto10. So what I do like about the Kuvings Auto10 hopper is I like the size. I like the 3-liter size, lets you fill lots of produce in here to make the most amount of juice in one fall swoop without you having to babysit the juicer. That being said, I do like the processing blade inside the Nama J2 hopper. So for me, which one of these parts do I like more? Man, I like the size of this, but I like the processing blade and efficiency and the color of the Nama J2 hopper. So I'll leave it up to you. Now the other thing that's interesting is there's a bunch of warning stickers and stickers on the Kuvings Auto10. On the Nama J2, it kind of blends in, just to have that one warning on the back. But like this is like warning and all these things. It seems like Kuvings is trying to like treat you like a baby, like, hey, do all these things. And let's face it, most people don't read labels anyways. There is like a QR code thing on here, which I don't know where it goes to or what it shows you, but it's kind of cool, I suppose, for people that use their phones and whatnot. So yeah, that's the hoppers and the lids. Of course, both these machines are advertised as BPA free. Next, we're gonna go ahead and get into the juicing bowls and compare them and all the juicing parts. So basically, first out, we have the Kuvings Auto10. We have the auger here, which is a totally new design I've never seen before, as well as the J2 auger right here. So I do know that the J2 auger is their second revision. They improved it since it originally came out. They've modified it a little bit to maybe even put less pulp in the juice than the original version. Of course, their auger also has divots, which they say helps keep it a little bit more quieter during the juicing process. It also has some gears on the bottom that turn the automatic wiping blade. Meanwhile, the Kuvings Auto10 auger, looks pretty similar. It's not quite as aggressive at first, which means this machine may be more effective at pulling produce into the machine. Whereas this one, it's a little bit different design. It's very interesting how they're each designed. They're similar, but they're yet very different. They both have like a little, nubby here to kind of help agitate and pull things in. And this auger is kind of shaped, I don't know, a little bit differently. This kind of just goes straight down. Like to me, this is a more sexy auger than this. It just kind of looks like a big kind of clunker. Like, I don't know, like this top part. I really love the look of the auger, but I mean, the look of the auger doesn't really matter. It comes down to how do they perform. And of course, at the bottom of this auger, there's also the gears. Now, underneath the auger, that's where it's a little bit different. They both have, stainless steel mating that mates to the motor shaft. But underneath the Kuvings auger, it's going to be a little more difficult to get in this space between the shaft and the auger, because the space is a lot more narrow than on the J2, which actually is recessed, and then it's a lot easier to get in there, most of it, because it is recessed. So I'd say between these two parts, I'm definitely going to have to go with, I prefer the J2 auger, a little bit easier to clean, and I personally like the shape of it myself. So yeah, that's all I'll say. They both have a similar mating structure on the top. Actually, they look almost the same. Let's see if I could fit in the J2 auger in this here, and I could spin the processing blade with that, and let's see if I could take the Auto10 auger and spin the processing blade of the J2. Yes, I can. So the tops are pretty much the same size, which is kind of curious if they go this way. All right, so next up, we got the juicing screen and wiping blade on the Auto10, juicing screen and wiping blade on the Nama J2. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. First, we're going to go ahead and inspect the wiping blade on the Auto10 and the wiping blade on the Nama J2. So if you guys look at these blades, or these wiping blades, they look fairly similar. They do a very similar job, and they look so similar. So, I mean, let's see here. So the only thing I could do is if I take this and I could flex it, right? So if I take this and I could flex it, you guys could see this part flexes a whole bunch. It seems to be a little bit thinner. And then if I take the J2, I could flex it, but it's a lot more rigid. So they use thicker plastic, or they have a design that's more reinforced. So it seems like it's a little bit more durable part. That being said, I've never seen the wiping blade break for anybody. That being said, they have the silicone wipers, which seem nice and thin on here. The biggest issue is, hey, if you take the silicone wiping blades out, how easy are they to get back in? I've never, removed these on the Auto10, and it's rare that I even remove them on the J2. But I want you guys to look at these wiping blades. Like, to me, this seems a lot more effective because it's wiping down the whole outside of the bowl as it's spinning, and it's wiping down the screen, whereas on the Kuvings it's wiping down the screen on the inside, but then there's like a little cutout so it doesn't wipe down all the way inside the bowl, which is quite interesting. So I think, between these two parts, I'm gonna have to go with the J2 wiping blade. It's a little more durable, it's more firm and stout, it doesn't compress down as much, and also the wiping blades are a little bit thicker silicone than these, which seem to be a bit more thinner and maybe more prone to breakage, because actually there's a small attachment point here for this whole piece, whereas on here this is a little bit more, once again, stout. So I think they did a little bit better design and durability on the parts, or for this part anyways, on the Nama J2. So next up, let's go ahead and compare both of the juicing screens. These juicing screens are very similar, guys. Very similar. They both have small little holes on the bottom where the pulp comes out. They have a channel inside the juicing screen where the pulp is kind of funneled and then pushed out. And they have both stainless steel holes in there. So it's very, difficult. And they're even almost the same size. And let's see, the size of the holes, I mean, they're so similar in appearance. I can't really discern, like, hey, this one's better than this. Let's see and do the rigidity test. They're both made out of Ultem and very hard plastic. And of course, there's this stainless steel juicing screen. Right, so it is really hard to discern these screens apart. I will say the difference is, I mean, they're pretty much the same height. They're almost the same diameter as well. I will say that on the bottom of the screens, I will say that the Auto10 screen is a little bit more challenging to clean, and here's why. If you look on the bottom of the screen, they have actually all these spaces. Like, if I was the Kuvings engineers, I would have designed this with basically plastic inside there, not hollow, because when you're done juicing, pulp will get clogged up inside here. Then you're going to have to end up cleaning it out, making it more work for you guys to clean, whereas on the Nama J2 design screen, there's really no spaces on the bottom of the auger except for these little cutouts here where pulp will collect underneath the auger. So on these two parts, I'm going to say the J2 screen is a bit superior. The other thing I'm seeing on the J2 with my untrained eyes is that the screen holes on the J2 seem to be a little bit smaller and more closely together, than the Kuvings holes that appear to be a little bit more further apart, with my untrained eyes. I'd have to get some kind of equipment to measure that to be sure, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. So, I would say that overall I would prefer the Nama J2 screen. It just looks like a little bit better design, but not by much. I just don't like the, cleaning underneath here with all these little, little areas where pulp could get stuck. So finally we're down to the juicing bowls. And wow, that's a big difference. When I pick these up, you could really feel the weight difference. The J2 bowl is a lot more substantial. It is heavier. There is more plastic in here. Of course, this is the Eastman Triton copolymer on both of the machines, which are BPA free. Each one of these bowls have their own sets of pros and cons. So first we'll go over the Kuvings. So I do like on the Kuvings, it is completely flat on the bottom with a little small channel where the pulp will get funneled out. So I do like that a lot. They do have measurements on here up to 500 milliliter if you are mixing in the bowl. There is also another warning sticker on the Kuvings. What does it say? It says, operating the juicer without ingredients can cause damage to the screw, which is interesting. I haven't seen that caution before. So don't run the machine empty, I guess, is what they don't want you to do. In addition, they also have the latch that you could actually just drop down and drop this open for the easy cleaning. They do have a nice bright orange gasket, which I'm not the biggest fan of the orange color, maybe, so that's what you won't lose it. And it also is attached, so it'll never fall off and you won't ever lose it. Also, this little black tab, which keeps back pressure on the produce, is also attached. You know, for me personally, I don't like that it's attached because I can't easily get underneath here and clean it out. That being said, when they are loose, you could have a tendency to lose them. I haven't lost one yet. The other thing I don't like about this latch is that this little tab here, there's a little bottom like that was supposed to fit into this little hole here, and if you press it in, it just won't go into the hole because I believe this little silicone part was molded a little bit too big for the hole. So I think Kuvings need to go back and get this properly corrected personally, because to me this is just not exactly right. That being said, you could just basically put it in the best you can, even if it's not in all the way. You shut this and the machine's still gonna work for you. And then over on this side, you guys can see they got the spout cap, and on the Kuvings spout cap, right, there's a ring that goes around. So what happens on this spout cap is this spout cap should be removable, so you can remove it. And I think that's how they got around one of the patents on this spout cap thing, is that actually they have a removable, apparatus for the spout cap. And yeah, so this part can be removed. It actually, they've improved this, because their original design you could just kind of pull off, but now they have a locking mechanism, which is kind of cool. You got to kind of turn to the side and then pull it off, so it actually locks in place. So I do kind of like that, but I don't like that it's a separate part, because once again, between these two different parts, you know, where they mate, you could get juice trapped in there that may not get cleaned, and then over time it could get kind of a little bit dirty, moldy, or who knows what, right? So looking at the bottom of this, that makes it's nice and flat, so that makes cleaning a little bit easier than on the Nama J2, but it's not as strong. Okay, going over to the Nama J2 part, this is heavier. There is basically kind of like, it's flat on the bottom for the most part, except the channel where the pulp comes out. It's just a little bit. Both of them have gears, but then you got this little center kind of volcano that comes up from the top, from the bottom. So that makes it a little bit more challenging to get in here to clean this part. In addition, this is also measured up to about 500 milliliter. If you want to do juicing in the bowl, there is no warning sticker on here. In addition, you can pop down this pulp flap to open this up. The gasket in here is completely black, so it kind of blends in. It's not right in your face like the orange one over on this guy. And the orange one on this guy is actually put into the bowl, whereas the black one is actually put into the drop-down piece. And of course, on here, they have a green or could be black flap that you could just basically pull out to remove to make sure you can fully clean under there. Just don't lose this. So I do like this design a little bit better than the Kuvings design, especially when this fits in properly, and you could close this up. Likewise, over where the juice comes out on the Kuvings, it's actually round, and once again, that's a two-piece. On this, it's just one piece, so there's never going to get any kind of juice trapped in between the holder, because it's all at the top. So I do like this a little bit more. And then if we turn over the bottom, you guys can see we got ribbing on here. So those of you guys that are engineers, you guys know that, hey, when you add ribbing, that adds rigidity and strength to the part. So, you know, to me, this is not only a heavier part, heavier duty, it's also reinforced. So I believe this part will, you know, last a lot longer than the Kuvings part that is not reinforced, and also a lot lighter. Oh, and let's check out the gasket. So the gasket in here, let's see, I'm feeling like 2 levels of gasket material for the auger that comes up to protect the motor from getting juice. That was a big issue with the first generation vertical juicers. They would like literally leak juice onto the motor, which would cause it to go into the motor and cause massive issues. And likewise on the Kuvings, I'm also feeling 2 levels of gasket protection, a top and a bottom, to prevent drips onto the motor. I mean, that issue has pretty much been solved after the first generation of the vertical style machines. Let's see here. Otherwise, I don't like that the Nama J2, they don't give you a special brush to clean in here. You could kind of use that standard toothbrush thing, but it's not the optimal brush to kind of get into all the edges. Whereas Kuvings has thought ahead and does provide you a spiral brush to get in here so you could clean it perfectly every single time. So, you know, I hope that Nama will improve their game and come out with a better cleaning brush, properly designed cleaning brush to get in here, because I do the best I can, but I could still see a little bit of buildup on the top of where the juice comes out. So yeah, that's pretty much the different parts. I'm gonna have to once again say I like this part on the Nama J2 more than the Kuvings part because it is reinforced, because there's not the attachment ring around the side, also because this is loose and separate. So yeah, that's what I'll tell you, and it's just a heavier part overall. So let's go ahead and pull all these parts back, and now I want to discuss the motor bases. So the motor base on both these machines are quite heavy. Whoa, and I'm about to say, for the motors actually, you know, the J2 motor is quite heavy. I think I weighed this out at 8 pounds, but this is even heavier. So to me, that means they don't have rocks in there. That means they have a motor with more copper windings in there that can make it a more powerful and or more durable motor. So I will tell you, on the Kuvings, the motor is 240 watts with a lot of good copper windings that make it quite heavy. So this could be a con if you pick up and move your juicer all the time because it's too heavy, you want something lighter. That's where the J2 might come in. The J2 also only uses 200 watts. So on one level, the J2 could be a more efficient juicer and use less wattage. This is especially important if you're on solar power, whereas the Kuvings operates up to 240 watts. Now the wattage does not necessarily equate to power. I would like to personally know the torque specs on each of the machines. You know, I can only believe that they are properly torqued out for the load and for juicing to be right and appropriate. That being said, the run time on each of the machines, the recommended run time on the Nama J2 is 30 minutes continuous use, and the run time on the Auto10 is 45 minutes on the Auto10. That being said, both machines should be able to be used for up to 60 minutes without an issue. That being said, both these machines are meant for home use, not for commercial use. After 60 minutes of use on either machine, you should turn the machine off, let it rest for at least another hour, cool down before you use it again. If they do find out you use it commercially, that may void your warranty. Talking about the warranty, both these machines have a full 15-year warranty on the motor base and all the juicer parts. So you guys could be assured that you're gonna have a juicer for many years to come. While we are speaking about warranty, let's talk about the companies directly. Of course, the Namawell company is generally a newer juicer company in the United States. This is their second model juicer they came out with. They have 3 models and they have more different appliances they will hopefully come out with in the future. Meanwhile, Kuvings has been in business and they are basically vertically integrated. That means they are the manufacturer as well as the seller inside the United States, whereas the Nama company depends on their manufacturing partner to make the machines over in Korea, ship it to them when they sell it, and they do all the customer service. So I would say that for customer service wise, you know, it depends what's important to you. I have gotten feedback on both companies and they will, you know, definitely take care of their customers. And, you know, sometimes I hear some complaints about the Namawell customer service. Sometimes I hear complaints about the Kuvings customer service. But what I'll tell you guys is this. If you guys like to call somebody up on the phone and talk to somebody on the phone, you are more likely to call the phone number of Kuvings and get somebody on the phone directly than if you call Nama. That being said, if you prefer email support, if you want to do email support, if you email Nama or email Kuvings at the same time, I would guarantee you that Nama is going to respond to your email a lot more quickly than Kuvings can. So yeah, that's each of the companies. And once again, they both have 15 year warranties, and they will take care of their customers based on all the feedback that I've gotten. And if they don't take care of you and you buy with my code, let me know, and I will investigate and ensure that my customers are taken care of for legitimate warranty claims. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and assemble each of these juicers. I always encourage you guys to assemble the juicers off the machine. You know, some juicers cannot be assembled on top of the machine. So if you assemble them off the machine, it's always gonna be better. And what I will say is actually which one of these two machines is easier to assemble. And I'm about to say Nama has improved the assembly of the machine to make it a lot easier than the Kuvings, and I'll share why now as I assemble the Nama J2 first. So first you're gonna go ahead and take the juicing bowl, sit it right out front. You're gonna go ahead and take the juicing screen and the wiping blade and just kind of put those into each other so you could turn this and this will spin. And now this is the secret to why the Nama is easier to assemble. They've kind of made it no-brainer even for a kindergartner that could recognize shapes, right? So on the Nama J2 juicing screen, there's like a half circle. It's a large half circle on one side, and on the other side, it's a small half circle. Those half circles correspond with either a larger half circle on one side of the bowl or a smaller half circle on the other side of the bowl. So all you need to do, if you have a kindergarten graduation certificate, you could be like, oh, that's small, this is small. You just drop that in, and it goes right in, and you're done. Next up, you take the auger, that drops right in, and you're done. Next up, you take the hopper, and there's a little line on the hopper right here that you line up with the unlock padlock on the side of the bowl, and then you just turn the line to the lock position. Then it's fully assembled. The most important thing when assembling the Nama J2 is you want to make sure this outcropping is fully contiguous from the bottom bowl to the top hopper. If this is contiguous, you've assembled it correctly. If you didn't assemble it correctly, you can put the hopper on backwards so that this outcropping then lines up with the handle on top, and this outcropping doesn't go to anything on the bottom. This is the biggest reason why people think the Nama is a piece of junk when they get it out of the box, because they didn't read the instructions and they didn't assemble it properly. And then when you put it on top of the machine and turn it on and it looks properly assembled to the untrained person, you turn it on, my machine that I just paid $550 for minus my 10% off discount, original, doesn't work. I'm pissed. Dude, just assemble it right, man. So just take it, put it on correctly, and then put it on the machine, and then it turns on. Whoa, amazing. All right, so now let's go ahead and assemble the Kuvings Auto10 slow juicer. First step is we're gonna go ahead and take the juicing screen and take the wiping blade and just shove that right on, and that just goes on so you can spin it. Next up, you're gonna need at least a 6th grade education to assemble this, because what you're gonna look for is the little red dot on the top of the juicing screen, and then you're gonna look for the red dot on top of the juicing bowl. You're gonna then go ahead and line up the red dots so they're right next to each other. And if you do so, and there's no way, so like when you're in here doing it, it can move around. And so what the goal really is you wanna get this little spout here, line up with a little hole here, and it's gonna drop in. So I always try to line up the hole as a primary thing, and then the dots will also line up, and then it'll be fully seated in there. So that's not quite as easy as dropping that in the center. Next, of course, we have the auger. You just drop right down in the middle and just drop that down and make sure it's fully seated inside. And once again, on this hopper, they do have a little bit of an arrow. So I like that the arrow is painted on. You know, I believe they should make that a little bit more brighter white color. You know, it does kind of blend in a lot. So you're gonna line up the arrow with the unlock sign on top of the juicing bowl, and then you're gonna spin that little arrow to the lock position on top of the juicing bowl. It actually clicks in, so I do like that it clicks in to let you know that it is positively assembled. And then of course you also have an outcropping on this that will be fully lined up when you're done assembling it. And now on the Nama J2, once again, this is also easy to assemble because you have an outcropping here. And if you look at the top of the motor base, there's an outcropping here. So this only goes on one way and it drops in. So this makes assembly really easy for even a kindergartner. Whereas on this, it's not quite as easy. What needs to happen on this is that you have the outcropping here that needs to line up with the back of the motor here. So I wish they made it a little bit easier, maybe with some dots or something. So yeah, we could just drop this on there and then it drops in place. But you could try to put it on this direction. It doesn't really go in. You could put it on this direction, doesn't go in. Could go this direction, doesn't really go in. So, you know, it's not quite as idiot-proof, dare I say that, all right? So then we got it dropped in. If you've assembled it correctly, once again, you can turn that machine on. So I think what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and compare the sizes of both these machines. As you guys can see, the Kuvings Auto10 is just a tad bit taller than the Nama J2. Let's go ahead and measure it. So the Nama J2 is approximately 17.7 inches, and the Kuvings Auto10 is pretty much at like 18 inches. So, you know, maybe the Kuvings Auto10 won't fit under your standard kitchen counter, cabinets. All right, next up, let's go ahead and measure the width of the Auto10 at the widest position, which is, right near the top. And we're just measuring the motor base alone. So that's about 6.5 inches. Meanwhile, the Nama J2, it's about, once again, I'd say 6.5 inches. So they're about the same, width. And then the depth of the Nama J2, I'd say, is approximately 7 inches. And the depth of the Kuvings, it's a little bit less, maybe 6 3/4 inches. So basically, a little bit smaller footprint on the motor base of the Kuvings than the Nama J2, but the Kuvings is a little bit taller. Okay. Next up, I want to do sound testing for you guys, so we could find out which one of these machines is a little bit louder. I will say that both of these machines run at a low and slow 50 revolutions per minute, which puts the minimum amount of oxygen into the juice, creating a higher quality juice than juicers that have a higher RPM. All right, so let's go ahead and turn my decibel meter on and see what we get. All right, today we are peaking out at 65 decibels on the Nama J2 and over on the Kuvings. Wow, we're peaking out at 74 decibels on the Kuvings. So the Kuvings is a little bit louder, still very quiet, but if you need something absolutely the most quiet, I'm gonna say go with the J2. So what are you guys thinking so far about this comparison? You've seen all the different parts that are included with the machine. I've gone over each of the different parts. I've shared my personal opinions on the build quality, on the noise, on the size of each machine. What do you think? Put your comments and questions down below. I love to review the comments and hopefully check back in the video every once in a while and answer you guys' questions so that you guys can make the best purchase for you. Now we're up to the last part of this episode where I juice even amounts of produce in both machines to find out which juicer will save more time when juicing and which juicer will make more yield. All right, so as you guys can see, we're all ready and set up and ready to juice, but first let's go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. All right, so you guys can see both scales. We basically got organic carrots, apples, and celery on both scales. As you guys can see, we got 1580 exactly grams on both scales. So yes, we do have a fair fight. So as you guys can see, we're all set up and ready to juice. I'll be doing a stopwatch today so you guys can see how long it takes to juice in each of the juicers. I think I will juice in the Nama J2 juicer first. I kept all the produce whole, so I'll need to do a minimal prep to load up the hopper and get the juicer turned on. I'll probably cut the apples in quarters. I'll just cut up the carrots into maybe quarters, and then the celery I will cut up into 1 to 2 inch pieces. So I guess with that, let's go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We'll hit the start button, and we're gonna just start cutting up the produce. I like to cut up the celery first, doing approximately 1 inch pieces. Get all that prepped. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and cut the apples up. We're just gonna go ahead today, cut them up into quarters. I'll probably drop in maybe 2 of the apples, cut up into quarters first. And then we're going to put in a bunch of the celery. Maybe I'll cut up another apple. More of the celery. All right, last bit of celery. Looks like our hopper's pretty much full. So we're just going to go ahead and cram that down and turn the juicer on. I think to save you guys some time, we're going to go ahead and speed this part of the video up. And what I'll be doing is I'll be cutting up some carrots as the machine is running in maybe 2-inch pieces and just drop those into the top to get it to work. Alright, so it looks like the Nama J2 cleared out the hopper. Now the most important thing is once it clears out the hopper, you want to let the machine run maybe another 30 seconds to make sure that everything inside the machine gets kind of crushed up and juiced out. How you'll know if you're done is if the pulp stops flowing out and the juice stops moving out of the machine. Pretty much looks like we're down to drips now, so we could go ahead and hit the stop button there. Looks like it took a total of 5 minutes and 26 seconds to juice in the Nama J2. I always like to tip the machine up when I'm done. You guys can see any residual juice come out of the machine. I hope that in the future they make machines kind of raked so that I don't have to do that. All right. So let's see here. So there's the juice we got. I did sieve out the pulp as it came out and shook it down. We'll let it there. We'll put it there to the side and kind of let it sit. We reset the stopwatch and get ready to juice in the Kuvings Auto10. All right, so let's go ahead and juice in the Kuvings Auto10. Once again, we're gonna hit start. We're gonna grab the celery and we're gonna go ahead and chop the celery up into approximately the same size pieces as I put in to the Nama J2, approximately 1 to 2 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and then open up the lid and I'm gonna cut the apples up. Now, because the hopper is a full 3 liters, I should be able to fit this whole recipe in one fall swoop, whereas I had to, continue to work and load it up as the hopper went down in the Nama J2. This is why I like the 3-liter hopper. Bigger is better here in America. Maybe if you're in some other countries, smaller is better. But we think things that are big are much better. And so, yes, I love the big hopper on the Kuvings Auto10. It is my favorite part of the whole entire machine, the size of the hopper. Next, we're gonna go ahead and then cut up the carrots into some pieces. Drop them in that oversized hopper. So far, so good. We're fitting everything. All right, I don't know if we'll be able to fit the last one, so we'll cram this down. And I do like on this lid, I mean, you shouldn't overfill it. There's a max fill line, but I don't read directions. Cram this down, and this thing is bulging up. You couldn't do this on the J2 because the J2 lid would tend to pop up. Turn it on, and it's off to the races. So let's go ahead and see how it juices. I think to save you guys some time, we're going to speed this part of the video up. And the cool thing is, I'm going to go ahead and leave and do some other things, like including clean some of the juicer parts while I'm gone. Alright, it looks like the Kuvings Auto10 hopper has emptied. And we're going to let it run maybe another 30 seconds to keep it going. Looks like we still got a few drips coming out of the machine. And the pulp is ever so slowly coming out. Looks like we're at 5 minutes and 43, but the machine is still running. So we're going to let it go a little bit longer and cut it off when all the juice has stopped trickling out of the machine and the pulp have stopped moving as well. All right, I think we're about done. We're going to go ahead and stop it. And it looks like it took a total of 6 minutes and 19 seconds. So the same amount of produce took longer to juice in the Kuvings Auto10, although I was able to load it up pretty much in the first go through, whereas on the J2, because of the smaller hopper, I actually had to put it in a little bit more. So, but it did take a little bit longer to juice. So once again, we're going to go ahead and tip this machine up, get any final juice out. We're going to go ahead and then close the spout cap and pull the juice out, and we're going to see which one of these two machines reigns supreme. First, I'm going to go ahead and tap down all the juice out of the sieve to see how much juice was put, how much pulp was put into the juice. All right, so we got the pulps all strained out, guys, and check this out. This is very interesting. I mean, it looks to me that these made almost a very similar amount and quantity of pulp. So to be sure, we're going to go ahead and weigh it out. The interesting thing is the Auto 10 pulp is a little bit lighter in color than the Namawell J2 pulp. But let's go ahead and get the scale out and see which one, in fact, put more pulp in the juice. All right, first up, we're going to weigh the Kuvings Auto 10 pulp. 32.4 grams of pulp was put into the juice. Next up, we're going to weigh the Namawell J2 pulp. 33.7 grams of pulp was put in the juice. These two were so close in terms of pulp, but the Namawell J2 put that much more. 1 gram, which I remind you guys, is not a lot of pulp. Now, the interesting thing is, I want to show you guys these pulps here laid out. Now, the other thing is I want to feel the pulp texture. So this is the J2 pulp here. It's a really fine mush-like texture. I'm going to think that mostly this is like the apples. If apples are softer, they're going to put more pulp in your juice. Because the margin of error, you know, I'm going to say for the most part, these probably put a similar amount of pulp. I mean, I'm feeling the apple pulp, and let's go ahead and verify that by tasting. I mean, pretty much tastes like apple carrot sauce. Wow. Very similar texture, guys. I'm going to say both juicers did a very equivalent job in grinding up the produce and extracting juice based on tasting the pulp that was put into the juice. Next up, let's go ahead and compare how much juice each juicer made. All right, so let's go ahead and do a close-up on the yields. It's very interesting to show you guys which juicer made more juice. All right, guys, check out the juice yields today. All right, if you look at these, they look almost like they made the same amount. And if we look more close up, you guys can see it's basically right under 900 milliliters. I'm going to say it's like 895 over on the Kuvings Auto 10. And if we go over to the Namawell J2, what is that at? I mean, to me, it looks like it's at the same, like 895. For the first time ever, we have a tie. Both these machines with the identical weight of produce made the same exact yield and put almost the same pulp in the juice. This is simply amazing. Guys, this is insane. We basically got the same amount of yield. I cannot discern a difference. Maybe you guys could see, oh, that one made a hair more, but to me, for all practical purposes, it basically made the same amount of juice. Next up, I want to go ahead and taste test the juice to see if I can discern any difference between the different juices. To me, they look like the similar color and similar texture, but let's find out when I do a taste test. So first up, we're going to taste the Auto 10 juice. I taste a very minute amount of pulp in the juice. Next up, the Namawell J2 juice. Oh, interesting. So the Namawell J2 juice, to me, like, there's definitely less particulate in the juice. In addition, I'm tasting more apple. So I'm tasting the Namawell J2 juice, for some reason, was a little bit more sweet than the Kuvings Auto 10 juicer. This may be because one of the apples was more sweet or not, but it also may be because, you know, one of the juicers may have been more efficient at extracting juice from certain produce items. So for example, when I had the Kuvings Auto 10 juice, which I want to try again, I really get more flavors of the celery. Like, I would like to think that the Auto 10 maybe like extracted the celery and the celery juice more, and I'm tasting more celery overtones because it's not quite as sweet. Whereas the Namawell J2 definitely tasted more of the apple. It's definitely a sweeter juice, despite having exactly even amounts of ingredients for both machines. Wow, so they're actually quite interesting. So I mean, pretty much, I can't really say like, oh, that one tastes better than that one. They're both very similar. This one's a little bit sweeter. Could have been the produce difference, or could be because the machine extracted a little bit different. Made the same yield, and the Kuvings put like 1 gram less of pulp in to the juice. But that being said, even after I strained it out, there was still a bit more particulate in the juice that made it through the sieve. So that's really interesting. Let's go ahead and move these to the side, because now I want to show you guys actually what's left in the juicer, right? To me, how the machine is designed is one of the most important factors. like how efficient it is. I'm half German and half Chinese. Maybe that's why I like things more efficient. So I want to show you guys this because there's a little bit of a difference. So we're going to go ahead and take the Nama top set off. Take the Kuvings top set off. We're going to go ahead and then pull off the hopper of the J2 and take off the lid and show you guys on the bottom of the lid, there's a little bit on there. But check this out. Inside the hopper, what do you guys see, right? Inside the hopper, I mean, it's pretty much clean. Like most of the sides of the hopper chamber, you know, the machine was able to funnel everything in to the juicer and get it out. Even if you look at the processing blade basically has like almost no residue on there. Now, yes, on the back side of the hopper here, there's a little bit of residue that actually did not get funneled in the machine. And if we look at the bottom, you know, there's a few drops. But to me, this is what I'm used to when I'm seeing a hopper juicer. I'm expecting that all hopper juicers are going to perform like this because Nama J2 has set the benchmark, right? So let's take a look at the Kuvings Auto10. Once again, we got to push this down when we turn it. We're going to go ahead and take this top piece off. And let's go ahead and take this lid off. And the top of this lid, there, once again, there's a few particulate items. And let's take a look at inside this hopper. So inside this hopper, there is definitely more residues stuck to the side of the hopper. Maybe because it's wider. Maybe because their, you know, processing blade is not as efficient. In addition, there's you know, produce stuck to the processing blade that actually just didn't get in. You know, there are some square corners on the processing blade, but I personally wouldn't put on a processing blade if I designed a processing blade, because those are corners where you could get trapped produce that won't kind of go off, right? Here, there's no corners on the processing blade. It's all kind of like gentle slopes. So, you know, just to hold these up side by side so you guys could see, you know, which one performed better in terms of emptying the hopper, right? I would say definitely the J2 emptied the hopper more efficiently and is a better designed and engineered piece. And of course, if we turn this over on the bottom, there's still also a little bits of produce that, you know, on the corner that did not go in. You know, I'm not going to say this is a total failure, because despite this not funneling everything into the juicer to get juiced, it made the same amount of produce. But what if Kuvings was able to get all this residue into the machine because they designed a better hopper? Then the Kuvings Auto10 would beat the Nama J2 in yield. In this case, it did not. All right, next up, let's pull out the auger and the juicing screen for both machines. So this is the auger on the Kuvings Auto10. You can see there's some pulp on the bottom and some pulp on the top. Underneath the auger, there's nothing really stuck into the bottom. Over on the J2 auger, we'll pull that out. Once again, we got some pulp on the top and actually a little bit less pulp stuck to the bottom. The other thing I want to point out is that there's like a turquoise kind of sheen to the auger. This is not your auger flaking, guys. This is because the carrots have carotenoids that are orange. When orange stick to black, it makes it look kind of this turquoise color. You need to get this off with soap and water and scrub when you're done. If you simply rinse this underwater, it's not going to pull the turquoise off. You need surfactants and soap to scrub this to get this coloring off. So, you know, between these two parts, I'm going to say, you know, the J2 has less residue on the auger, meaning the J2 may be a little bit more efficient. Next, let's go ahead and pull out the juicing screen and the wiping blade on both machines. So both of these machines have pulp inside the juicing screen when you're done. I would say just by looking at it, I'm going to say that the Nama J2 has more residue pulp inside the bottom of the juicing screen because it wasn't on the auger when I pulled the auger out, whereas the Auto10 didn't. So maybe it's a wash in how much produce is put in the auger and juicing screen. I will say that the ground in pulp factor on both juicing screens are fairly similar. If I had to say, I would say actually the J2 looks to have a tad bit more ground in pulp in the auger. That being said, I will say that the Auto10 screen will be easier to clean because there's a tad bit less ground in pulp but also you have that specialized screen cleaning tool that's going to make cleaning the screen easier. On both wiping blades, they seem to have pretty much the same amount of small amounts of residue. And I want to show you guys the bottom of the screens. So the bottom of the screens, actually, the J2 has a lot more residue on the bottom. And you know, there's not a lot of residue on the bottom of the Auto10 screen. And then getting to the juicing bowl, you can see there's a lot more pulp in the bottom of the juicing bowl that did not come out of the Nama J2 as we were juicing. And there's less pulp in the bottom of the Auto10 juicing bowl. So at the end of this episode, what am I gonna say, man? I mean, you guys clearly saw that, you know, each machine has their own sets of pros and cons. I personally like some of the parts and engineering on the Nama J2, but despite me liking it, it did not actually perform any better than the Auto10 that, you know, even left residue in there. It made the same exact yield and basically put virtually the same amount of pulp in the juice. So, you know, when I say the Nama J2 sets the best benchmark, I'm going to say the Auto10 has achieved the benchmark. I'm not going to say it surpasses it, and in some ways it fails to achieve the benchmark, because another benchmark is, hey, there should be no residue in the hopper, because that's what the hopper is for. And if it's a properly designed hopper, it's going to look more like this when you're done and pretty much empty, which will mean less to clean and you're not wasting produce that did not get juice. But despite this, it made the same amount of yield, right? So, you know, here's the thing. I got to give props out to Kuvings. They've done an amazing job at making the Auto10 an amazing machine that keeps up with the best-selling juicer on the market in terms of yield and pulp in the juice, despite having more residue in the top. In addition, they've made the whole market better by coming out with a 3-liter pitcher, you know, or hopper, to make juicing more convenient and easier when you are bulk juicing. So I will say Nama now has some catch up to do. Hopefully they'll come out with a 3-liter hopper, hopefully sooner rather than later, as an attachment to their machine, so that people could also put 3 liters at once to juice, and hopefully the hopper on Nama, if they come out with one, will be more efficient than the Kuvings hopper. Once again, all these features make it more convenient and easy for you to juice. The juices tasted pretty similar. Maybe the Nama juice tastes a little bit more sweet, and this machine got more nutrition out of the celery for some reason, or maybe there's a few more celery leaves and that's why I'm tasting this, and that muted the apple flavor. But you know what? This is a world's first. That I'm going to declare the winner of this episode. I'm not, because I'm declaring it a tie! First time ever that I've declared a tie in a juice-off, because the fact that both of them made the same amount of juice, put almost identical amounts of pulp in the juice. And clearly, guys, each one of these machines have their own sets of pros and cons. For some reason, I love the J2. For some reasons, I love the Auto10. And the Auto10 held its own compared to the J2. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show you guys some situations and what juicer you may want to purchase based on your situation, right? Okay, so if you guys have a lot of money and you don't care how much money the juicer costs, buy the more expensive one, man. The Kuvings is $150 more. You won't have a problem dropping the cash to do it. That being said, if you guys are on a budget and money is tight, right, then you're going to want to go with the Nama J2, because it's $150 less than the Kuvings Auto10 that gets the same performance, right? Now, if you guys are big bulk juicers and you want to juice a lot of produce at once and you be bulk juicing all the time, you know, I really think that the 3-liter hopper is going to come in really handy for you guys. So you're going to want to go with the Auto10, because a 3-liter hopper is a game changer over the 2-liter hopper. Trust me, I've used a 3-liter hopper and it just makes juicing that much easier. So you're more likely to do it. Now, here's the thing. If you guys like cleaning, which one is easier to clean? Well, man, that's a tough one. With the cleaning tools, I would say the Auto10 makes cleaning the screen a little bit easier. That being said, once again, you have more residue in the hopper, and the hopper has more surface area because it is larger. So then the J2 is easier to clean. So, like, I'm going to say cleaning is a wash on both these. Which one would I rather clean? I don't know, they're pretty much the same. I can't really say what's better or not. Oh, here's another thing. If you like to juice in long juicing sessions, then I will definitely say the Kuvings is the machine you want to go with, because that has a run time of 45 minutes, whereas the run time on the Nama J2 is recommended at 30 minutes, although plenty of times I've used the J2 45 minutes or an hour. If you like having all the flexibility to do all the different tasks a juicer can do, then I would also say go with the Auto10, because you not only get the sorbet screen included, you also get a true smoothie screen with the Auto10, whereas on the J2 you get a smoothie screen that, in my opinion, is technically a coarse hole screen, because it sends out pulp out the pulp chute when you're using their smoothie screen, and the goal of a smoothie screen is to basically smoothie everything up and not eject any pulp. Of course, if you guys want to do the sorbet, you could also get the sorbet attachment for the Nama J2 in addition, and it's still going to be $100 less than the Auto10. If you guys want something a bit more small and compact on your countertop, that's not as tall, that will fit underneath your kitchen counters, cabinets, then you're going to want to go with the Nama J2, because it's just a little bit shorter than the Auto10 that's a little bit larger. So maybe the J2 would be better for smaller kitchens, and the J2 would be good for that Texas kitchen that's huge, because you got a huger hopper and you got everything jumbo there down in Texas, and the Auto10 is for Texans. So if you are like German or like things that are really well engineered, my personal preference, I really believe that the Nama J2 is more well engineered and designed better overall than the Kuvings Auto10. That this is basically their new design they just put on the market. Right. The next thing I will say, if you are an early adopter, and want the latest and greatest and the newest thing and not something that's been out for 2 years, right? Get the Auto10. It just came out. It just got released, man. This is the latest and greatest thing. But if those of you guys that really like security and like having money in the bank, and you want something that you just know you're going to purchase and you know it's going to work and it's not going to have any problems, because it's kind of like maybe more experimental and just being released, right? And might have some challenges crop up because, basically you guys are the beta testers for this machine, because I haven't even seen this design before I got my unit, right? The Nama J2 has been out on the market for 2 years, so you could have trust in the stability and durability of the product, because there's lots of hours of testing on the J2, and I guarantee Kuvings did not do all the hours of testing that every single customer of the J2 has already previously bought it over, 10,000 reviews on their website or something about the Nama and the juicer. So it's a much more stable juicer that is assured to give you the best performance and long-term durability. That being said, both these machines have a 15-year warranty, and I can't say that Nama customer service is better than Kuvings customer service or whatever. What I will say is that if you want to get hold of customer service on the phone, then you'd probably be better to buy the Auto10. If you're like me and you don't like talking to people on the phone, you'd rather email them, then that's when you'd want to get the Nama J2, because Namawell really, thrives at the email customer support. You guys could save 10% off either of these two juicers by using the coupon code we'll throw up right there, DJ10 at Kuvings USA, or the coupon code ORIGINAL, because this is the original best-selling hopper style juicer, at Namawell.com. And when you guys use those coupon codes that I've already mentioned, right, not only will you guys save the money, but more importantly, Nama or Kuvings will share with me a small commission, so I can continue to bring you guys these honest comparison videos where I share my expert knowledge of 25 years selling juicers and 28 years of juicing myself on a regular and consistent basis. I really hope that you guys appreciated all the time and effort I put into making this video, and I would so much appreciate if you could show me a little appreciation by using my coupon code, so you guys can save the most money, but also allow me to continue to pay my light bill, buy my produce that I'm juicing and that I'm eating, and of course pay my amazing video editor, Sandra. So thank you, Sandra, for editing this and doing your amazing work that you do. I couldn't do this without you. So to sum this video up, at the end of this video, I'm going to say you guys pretty much can't go wrong with either of these two machines. They perform pretty much the same, and of course each of these machines have their own sets of pros and cons. I've listed some of the different situations that you might be in and the kind of customer you might be. So you want to choose the machine according to based on your values and what things are important to you guys, right? And once again, I just want you to get juicing, and that's why I started juicing and selling juicers myself, because I saw juicing made a big difference in my life, and I know it could help you guys too, because most people in the world still do not consume enough vegetables, leafy greens, and fruits. And of course, juicing, in my opinion, is the best way to get them in you so that you guys can get healthy in the new year. Don't wait, order your juicer today. Right now the Kuvings Auto10 is out of stock, so even a better reason to buy that if you want it, so you guys get one earlier rather than later. Of course, Nama does have their machine in stock, ready to ship to you guys as soon as you order it. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and love this episode, learning about the differences and commonalities between these two machines, hey, do me a big favor, give this video a big thumbs up. More importantly, share this with different juicing communities. If you're in a juice fasting group, a juice feasting group, or you're just in a healthy raw food or whole food plant-based diet, or people that want to improve their health by juicing, please share this video so that they can learn about the differences between the best two vertical hopper juicers on the market at this time. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes. I'm coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know what two juicers I'll be comparing head to head, or what new juicers I'll be unboxing and sharing with you, or what new juicing knowledge bombs I'll be dropping on you in one of my hour-long educational videos. And make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 700 episodes at this time on the channel, dedicated to teach you guys all about the different juicers and diving deep and sharing with you guys facts and tips about the juicers that you're not going to hear on any other channel. Links down below to my video on the original unboxing of the Kuvings Auto10, and links down below to some of my favorite videos on the Nama J2, including what they won't tell you about the Nama J2. That's the #1 video I want you guys to watch about the Nama J2, because it really goes in deep and shares all the things I know about the Nama J2 that you should know before you buy it. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.